While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Hey, it's Larry Sharp here on A Free Solution, WYSL, Rochester, New York. I know you're saying, Larry, usually I see you on the Sharp Way. That's true. That's my other show. But today's Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm here with you. And you can call and reach out to me. 585-346-3000 is the number. You know, a lot of stuff has been going on in New York recently, and a lot of new laws. And I feel like the image is that New York State's helping. That's the image. New York State's helping. And while that looks good or may sound good, depending upon who you're talking to, there's an outcome that is harsh. What do I mean by that? Recently, New York State passed a law saying that all businesses have to have a space or room for mothers to nurse. Well, that sounds amazing. I love the concept of that. I think women who want to work and have children should be able to do those two things if they want to, right? Of course, you should have the freedom to do what you feel is appropriate in your life. I agree completely. So what will the outcome of this be, right? What's the outcome? The outcome of this will be small businesses will be destroyed, many of them, and it's already happening. New York State has a very low percentage of small businesses compared to other states already. People are leaving like there's no tomorrow. The lockdowns devastated small businesses throughout the country, but ours were extra harsh, so crushed small businesses even more. So why is that bad though, Larry? Shouldn't we care about mothers? Of course we should, and of course I do. So why wouldn't I simply say, hey, as governor, I'm talking to you, small businesses. You guys should be better to mothers. I go, Larry is going to tell him that? Yes, I am. Yes. You should do your best to support mothers in any way they want to be supported. That's what you should do. It's a good idea. It's going to help people. And you might go, well, Larry, that's kind of dumb. Who's going to pay attention? Mothers who want to be heard. And when someone in authority says your story, and if you're a mother and you want to be heard, and the governor's saying your story, people pay attention. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. People say something in a news story and people react. Now, the governor's saying so. So the governor's saying you should react. It's what you should expect. What does that mean now? That means mothers who want to work can go to their employers and say, hey, I want to breastfeed. I want to nurse. Can you help me out? And some employers will say, no, I don't care. You go home or whatever. They'll say what they want to say. And when the society changes, then those people won't have good employees, which is happening already. Those people won't have people coming to their stores and to their buying their products. We see that already. That does happen already when it comes to small businesses. And the culture begins to change. I don't want to force a small business owner to do it via law. Why? Because now you're going to have a bunch of mothers who are going to be getting a better deal for themselves. Good. Good for those mothers. You're also going to have a couple of lawyers who say, wait a minute, I can make a killing on this if I can find a hole in this. It's what they do. And they will convince one mother at least, if not many, maybe even a bad employee mom. I'm not against moms, but there are bad employees in every demographic, to include moms. So they'll find one of them and say, let's sue this guy. He didn't do the right thing. And because it's in the law, the store will lose and it will devastate the store. And that's the end. That store goes under, insurance pays, The bad mom gets paid. The good mom loses her job because that company goes under. The bad mom gets paid. The good lawyer who tried to help out, he gets paid, but he walks away. And the bad lawyer who did this on purpose gets paid. Larry, would that ever happen? It happens every single day. It happens all the time. Again, not against mothers, but you're doing this now. You might say, well, Larry, do it for big business. You know, I'm not that much against it. I don't like the concept of the law. Clearly, I'm a libertarian, but that's not going to devastate big business. Big business already has large real estate, and a lot of it they're not using because of the COVID lockdowns. So they're not using a lot of it now. So they have the space. If you're a large organization, you already have the space. That's why you don't care about this law. It's not going to devastate you. In fact, you like this law because it's going to crush your small business competition. So you don't mind? Yeah. Put some more stuff on these guys. It's fine. I got the space. I can absorb a little bit of pain here or there. I got hundreds of employees. If I got one angry mom, deal with it. This other guy, though, she's finished. That's the end. Well, Larry, that's just one thing. Well, no, wait, there's more. You might have heard recently because we are legalizing cannabis now because government cares about you. Legalizing cannabis. Well, that means the legal dealers, they have to get priority, and the illegal dealers have to be punished. Of course they do. So where right now are those illegal dealers? Many of them are in small stores. Yeah, I'm not joking. They sell weed products or something else. Vaping products, flavored vaping products, which are also against the law for some reason, which makes no sense whatsoever. They did it again. So wait a minute, Larry. Why would the government want to go after flavored vapes? Well, because the big tobacco. That's the reason. Because tax dollars. So who cares about small businesses? They go under, destroying the vaping industry, turning into a cannabis industry. Oh, but now you want a cannabis license. That's going to cost you $250,000. What? Yeah. What small business owner can deal with that when they just got their butt beat because of the vaping ban? Well, they can't. So what do? Black market. What will the government say? They're criminals, tax evaders. No, they're small business owners trying to survive in a state that hates them. Let me repeat that. No, they're not criminals. They are small business owners trying to survive in a state that hates them. All right, Larry. Is that all? Is there more? Of course there's more. Because now there's literally a new weed/vape police that's coming around to small business owners and trying to crush them. Yeah. But then, Larry, they don't have to work, in that. They can just become a gig employee. It's easier. They can find jobs here that make money on their own. No, they can't. The federal government now is making you, $600 or more. Now you got to report to the federal government. And New York State decides randomly, nah, I'm not going to call you a gig employee. I'm going to call you a regular employee and punish anyone who's hired you. Yes, punish anyone who's hired you. So if you're a small business owner, you decide to hire anybody, now the punishment begins from the state. I'm not joking. Oh, I'm still not done. What about insurance? New York State, one of the only states that requires you to have two types of workers' comp. You have to pay. Two types. We have our own insurance board, which has to validate itself by punishing small businesses, which is what it does. No other state does that. Just us. So now you have to pay for workers' comp for someone who has an accident on the job, which makes sense. I'm good with that. That's a fine law. If I'm employing you and you have a problem or an accident when I'm telling you to do stuff or on my job site, makes sense. Insurance should pay. Totally on board. New York State, though, if you have an accident off the work, you decide you want to go, I don't know, snowboarding, and you twist your ankle, break your leg. I got to pay now. What? That's New York State law. How's that okay? But it is here. Again and again, we punish small business owners. We punish workers. We punish gig workers in an attempt to push everyone into basically big business and government work, which is the same work, which crushes innovation, which crushes small businesses, which crushes the entrepreneurial spirit, which crushes communities. And we wonder why it doesn't work. And we wonder why our communities keep getting trashed. And we wonder why people keep leaving the state. It is a self-inflicted wound that is not stopping at all. It just keeps happening again and again and again. And too many people think, but it sounds good. We're helping people. Larry, see, you're wrong. Because we're helping the entrepreneurs and the capitalists and not the poor people. Well, that's not true. I'm going to tell you a story. I didn't tell it now. I want to wrap it up here. But I do want to tell you a story when we get back from the break that will show you that this is not helping anybody. In fact, it's hurting the poor. Larry Sharp, WYSL, Rochester, New York, on a free solution, 585-346-3000. Back with your calls and the chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. So,
yeah, in addition to workman's comp, look at the scaffold law in New York State.
Experts at Simple Tech Innovations.
Yep.
Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and...
As Bill Noje used to say, God rest his soul, there's a reason you don't see construction cranes in Rochester anymore.
Achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hey, this is Kevin Wilson, host of A Free Solution. You ever need a tool for just one project, but didn't want to spend the cash for something you'd use just once or twice? Well, there's a new tool library in Rochester where you can borrow just the thing you need instead of buying a new one. It's called the Tool Shed from the Southeast Area Coalition, and membership starts at just $25 a year. Use it for home projects or to support your business. Learn more and become a member at seektoolshed.org. That's SEAC toolshed.org.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharp here on a free solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Now, you might say, Larry, why'd you tell me all those stats? You know this is all about keeping, punishing the rich people. That's not true. You probably know, if you listened to me in the past, that I grew up in the South Bronx in the 70s. Not the best neighborhood. Lots of immigrants, lots of poor people, projects, things like that. I grew up in an apartment building on Walton Avenue, 6 stories high, in what we called then the ghetto. So we called it then. Now they call it the hood or whatever, but that's what we called it back then. And my father and my mother eventually figured out we should try to get out of this neighborhood and get to a better neighborhood. How? How do you do it when neither of them were educated? My mother didn't even have a high school diploma, immigrant, and my father just graduated high school. That was it. He was a veteran, though. There was something. But we didn't have that idea. What could we do? So basically what happened was my mother decided, why don't we clean offices on the weekends? Seriously. We clean offices on the weekends. I would go with her and scrub windows and scrub doors and stuff. And we would clean offices on the weekends. My father said, you know what? I like, music, so I'll be a DJ. And it's a DJ back when you had to use vinyl because that's all there was, and large reel-to-reel tapes. Some of you may remember that from the 70s. This is kind of the early disco era, early 70s, moving into the 70s, soul, R&B, that world, for those of you who were around for that. He was DJ for that time. And that's how we made our money. That's how we got enough money to eventually, after I was a bit older, pack up and move to Long Island, which for us was a major, huge thing. I guess if you live in Long Island, it's not a big deal for you. But when you come from the Bronx, that's a big deal for us to make that move. But it wasn't just us. I'm not just saying, well, I did it, why can't you? That's not what I'm saying at all. I would argue that right now, we probably couldn't have done it. With the rules and regulations in New York State now, we probably couldn't do it. But it wasn't just us. There were other people that we saw making it or making extra cash in my neighborhood. When I was a kid, there was no Uber, and cabs, taxis, wouldn't come to our neighborhood. So how do you get around? We had gypsy cabs back then. You'd paint one door on the car a different color. So it'd be a blue car. You paint one door red or something, and we know, oh, that's gypsy cab. Why? He's got the red door or something like that. We would know. You pay him whatever I don't know what it cost back then, a couple bucks, whatever it was, take you someplace. And so often, it's a stereotype, but it was true. So often, the person driving it was from the Caribbean, Jamaican, somehow West Indian, very common. That was very common. That's a stereotype from the 70s. If you watch any 70s cop TV shows, and there's a gypsy cab there, very often the actor there is portraying someone who's, Jamaican or West Indian in some way, Haitian, something, right? It's a common thing. And it was common. Girls used to braid hair outside on the stoop to make money. Other people, I remember, I think they were Puerto Rican. They might have been Dominican, but I think they were Puerto Rican. This is 40 years ago. I think they were Puerto Rican. Many Puerto Rican families would have guys in the family who were good with fixing things. And they would often fix cars. You see them out front, fixing the car, begging out dents in the car. One car was made of metal. And repainting, buffing and repainting them. They don't make cash. That's how they'd make money as they moved around. That entrepreneurial spirit, that gig worker spirit is being crushed in New York State and has been crushed in New York State for decades. All the stores in my neighborhood, and there were stores in my neighborhood, they were all owned by people who lived in the area, right? So there were people from, I think they were from India, who owned a store on the corner. There was an Italian immigrant who owned a pizza place called Joe's Pizza. He gave it to his daughter, Paula, became Paula's Pizza, around the corner from where I lived. There's a fish market. I think they're run by Greeks. They were there too. But they lived in the area. They lived somehow in the Bronx. They were there somehow, right? Or at least used to live there. And maybe they moved out, but their family was still owned it. It was owned by families, individuals. Now, this place is all franchises. Right? The pizza place that I used to love is a Subway now. And to be clear, I'm not against franchises at all. I think they're great for many reasons. If you want to buy a franchise, please buy one. They're awesome. The problem we have is they're too big a part of our economy, bigger than they should be. Why? Because what a franchise is a big business given to individual people. It's what it is. It's a big business. If you buy a Subway, you don't need your own lawyers. Subway's got lobbyists and lawyers for you. It is big business winning again. I'm not saying this because I'm personally upset about something. That's not the reason why. I'm saying it because people are being fooled into believing that these laws that we create in New York State are good and wonderful laws and are helping people and are supporting the poor. See, we're helping the workers. That's the people we're helping. Well, in theory, that's true. But why do we want more people workers? Why do I want more people owning their own employment? Owning, if you're on the left, owning the means of production. Isn't that what you want if you're on the left? If you're on the right, don't you want more of a free market? Doesn't this help in both cases? If you're on the right, it's a freer market. If you're on the left, it's workers owning the means of production. This is win-win if we do what I'm talking about and we support the gig economy and we support entrepreneurship and we support small businesses. This is win for everybody. If you're on the right, it allows someone to climb that ladder of success, which we talk about all the time. If you're on the left, it allows someone who's an immigrant to come in here and to find the American dream. Isn't that what we talk about if you're on the left? Is that what we talk about? We talk about it all the time, right? The stuff that's happening now in New York State makes the right angry and the left angry. The right because of the rhetoric and the left because of the outcome. What I'm saying makes both happy, both the rhetoric and the outcome. That's what I want more than anything. I don't want to make rich people poorer. I want to make poor people richer. This seems to make sense, doesn't it? Don't I want to share the wealth? Isn't that what the left says? I want to share the wealth. Okay, let's do it. Doesn't the right say, come up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Okay, let's make it easy to do that. Easy's wrong. Let's not make it so damn hard. How about that? Can we just go there? Let's not make it so hard. That would be a whole lot better. If we could just make that happen. And the federal government's not making it any easier. Every step we take towards success as an individual small business owner, gig economy person, or even just trying to find your next step. I'll go one step further. You're in trouble. You fell down, figuratively. You have an addict in your family, which slowed your family down. Someone got arrested, slowed you down or your family down. Or you got arrested. You did time in jail. Or you were out of the workforce because you had a kid. You stayed at home for 5 years, 6 years. How are you going to find yourself again without a gig economy? Without being able to sample new things, learn new things, figure out what your next step in your life is? You can't. You're stuck. You're trapped. You fell down, and now you can't get back up. But when you support the gig economy, when you support small businesses, when you support people who will give you a second chance, that's when you get a second chance. When my mom fell down, the people who gave her a second chance, all of them were small business owners, whether they were the local diner, the local processing plant, whatever it was. Local people gave my mom a chance, and she got back on her feet. And she was able to survive and have a good life, even after having a major fall. This state used to be a place that people would come to be somebody. I need to go be somebody. I'm going to New York. I'm going to go be somebody. Now, we're stuck here, and we feel like we're nobody. If you want to be somebody, you leave New York. It's embarrassing. And we keep acting like we're doing the right thing, yet people keep leaving. The poor stay poor, the wealthy get wealthy, and then they move to Florida. Horrible. Am I wrong with this one, guys? I don't think I am. Let me grab a couple of comments if I could. Hold on. Dave, of course, brings up the federal piece. Larry, don't forget that if you earn $600 for a single gig, the government wants to know about it. But those 87,000 IRS agents are definitely not going after the poor middle class. The state and the nation is against us, people. We got to do something about it. Let me know. Larry Sharp, A Free Solution, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Back with your chat and your calls after the break.
Pray for the USA.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have mainly clear skies, frosty cold once again. We'll dip down into the 20s, maybe a couple of towns in the teens. On Wednesday, we'll see a mixture of sun and clouds. Another pretty good looking day in the 30s. Now, Thursday, the weather starts to go downhill. Cloudy in the morning, but some mix to snow in the afternoon. Could be a couple of inches of snow by Thursday evening. I'm Rich Cordelia, WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management. Let's talk about investment fees and commissions. Just how much are you paying to have your investments managed? If you're like most people, you really don't know the cost, right? Does this make any sense? Paying for something without knowing how much? Okay, maybe your advisor is a friend and even sends you a birthday card every year, but what real value is he providing and at what cost? Isn't that a fair question to ask of any service provider, including your broker? For a $2 million account with annual fees and commissions totaling 2.5%, you're paying $50,000 per year. That's a lot of money. Are you receiving that level of value? If you have over $250,000, I will personally review your investments, including an analysis of the actual cost. To schedule your no-cost review, call our Pittsford office at 381-9870 or contact us from our website, hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. That's hamiltonwealthmanagement.com.
Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC.
Dear Dr. Sussman.
Dear Dr. Sussman, I just wanted to write to all the wonderful people who work with Dr. Sussman and Dr. Pogel at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Each person in the office made me feel my smile.
Not only am I completely happy with my smile, but I feel you've been there for me with all my dentistry.
I've had several dentists in my life, but never a dentist of your caliber. You have state-of-the-art.
You keep current in your field as evidenced by your numerous diplomas and certificates, and your entire staff is really the cream
I'm
of the
thrilled with the outcome of your skills and artistry. It's made such a difference in my life.
Dr. Sussman, Dr. Pogel, and the entire staff at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry take great pride in providing not only advanced dental care, but extraordinary cosmetic dentistry. They love what they do and have a partnership with their patients toward long-term dental health.
For a bright, confident, beautiful smile.
Thank you, Dr. Sussman.
Thank you, Dr. Pogel.
Thank you.
Change your life, change your smile.
For more information, call the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry at 22 Smile or visit 22-smile.com.
In our academically inspired environment at Roberts Wesleyan, God works in and through you to bring your greater story to life. At Roberts, you will discover your deepest passions with heart and mind aligned. You'll receive a rigorous education and hands-on training to help develop the skills you need to go out into the world and succeed. Within every student is a transformational story in the making. Take a step toward your future at roberts.edu/greater story.
I'm Stephen Nichols with Nichols Electric and Plumbing, and I have excellent news. Our team is now equipped and expanded to take on all of your smaller home projects. If you are looking for drywall work, painting, cabinetry, small carpentry, windows, or anything else on your home project list, our handyman division is ready to serve you with the same care and excellence as our electric and plumbing team. Call 585-427-9310 or visit nicholsep.com to schedule an appointment.
Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten Free Bakery has a great deal on Tuesdays. A large 4-topping pizza for $18, regular or gluten-free.
You got to call her Keith from Rochester.
Open Tuesday through Sunday. Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten Free Bakery in Avon.
Bob Savage here for Avon Gun. Avon Gun's your locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. It's Christmas, time to get your favorite sportsman or woman something very special. Avon Gun in the village of Avon, 259 East Main Street.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharp here on WYSL, Rochester, New York. A free solution, 585-346-3000. You might be saying to yourself, this is a pretty good show. I like this show. I want to listen to it more. You can, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 p.m., right here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, or just follow us on A Free Solution YouTube and Facebook page, either one. I've been talking about new policies and old policies that have been crushing small businesses, the entrepreneurial spirit, and also gig economies, which winds up hurting not the wealthy, but the not so wealthy. I'm going to grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Keith from Rochester. Keith, how are you, sir?
What you just said right now, those are the last couple of sentences I agree with, but earlier, pointedly, you're giving the left too much credit. They are the ones who are all about control. To say it, they are the modern-day fascists. They want a melding together of government and business, and they could care less if you're independent and really making it as a hoped-for healthy middle class. That says to the left that they can't control you as much. Two fast examples during COVID. Why were the big box stores allowed to stay open? And as you were stating correctly, the mom and pop stores were put asunder. And then secondly, we've got this big new chip factory coming in to the Syracuse area, going to be 40 football fields large. That right there is what the left wants. That brought Biden himself out, along, of course, with idiot boy Schumer. They want that. Back in a decade like the 50s, before this really got ramped up, a chip company like that would have just come in on its own, completely private business. Eisenhower, at the end of his term, warned against the military-industrial establishment. This is what we're having today with the left. They want, in a fascist way, the merging of business and government. They don't want a healthy, independent middle class. They want us solely dependent on them, the government masters.
Well, you know, you've made me realize that I should have been clearer in my conversation. What I meant, and I did not say, when I said if you're on the left, I did not mean the establishment. I meant the average Democrat walking around the street. I think what you're saying when it comes to the elites is 100% true and is demonstrably presented, as you just said. All of the policies I've talked about are almost all Democratic. I think they are probably all Democratic policies, right? And I mean big D Democrat, not small d. Big D Democratic policies. I think you're right. What I was trying to say, which I obviously failed at, was the individual Democrat, the individual person who leans left, who's walking around Rochester or walking around, New York City or something, that individual voter isn't thinking, I want to merge fascistically the corporation and the government. They're thinking, I want to help moms out. That's what they're thinking. They're being fooled into believing that they're helping moms out. I think that's what I was trying to say. Is that clearer, Keith?
Yeah, and not to keep you, and I apologize to your audience because I always call in, but I had to on this one. I just feel that the left is getting away horribly, hurting our country, and no one seems to be able to stand up. On our side, the only one who's really fighting back is Carrie Lake in Arizona. I don't know where my fellow conservatives are on this. We're having our country stolen from us. But I guess in closing, if we're to get New York State back to the so-called Empire State, we had better bring back that stronger middle class. Now, that means libertarians forming true allies with the rest of us. We're right there with you. But in closing, and you basically already stated it, how do you get Albany out of the way? And with this one super party majority system, we're all knocking our heads against that proverbial cement wall. So it's very bad right now. In closing, these Dems in Albany are not business friendly. And so it's up to you, Mr. Sharp, with your thesis, how you run with that like a football and smash through that super majority. They are a real obstacle in the way of middle class prosperity, and that's the question, sir, in closing, that needs to be answered. The Democrats out of New York City, the Dems are killing the entire state.
Let me touch that, Keith. And for those of you listening who think the same way that Keith did, I hope I clarified my statement. When I said people on the left, I did not mean the elites on the left, the people who are running things. When it comes to people running things, I think Keith is exactly correct. And I should have been clearer. How do we stop them from having power? By getting the average Democrat on the street who doesn't understand exactly what's happening, but believes that we're helping workers, or we're helping moms, or we're keeping, weed off the street from the, so people won't die from a cannabis overdose, whatever, right? Who believe these things. To get those people to go, wait a minute, this is actually hurting. This is actually hurting, because I don't believe the average Democrat on the street, the talking heads agree with Keith. The elites, Keith's correct, 100%. The average voter believes the Democrats are helping and doesn't understand why you crazy Republicans keep leaving. See, we have more protections for you. What's wrong with you? You people are crazy. What's wrong with you? That's what the average Democrat thinks about the average Republican. And this state is run by Democrats. And if we can't get Democrat voters, I'm sorry, I'll be clear, Keith, so we can be clear. If I can't get Democrat voters to go, this isn't what I thought. This isn't helping me. This is making things worse. These people who are leaving, they aren't crazy. They're the smart ones. What am I thinking? If we can get those people to go there and go, I got to stop. That's how we change. And that is not easy. If it was easy, we'd have done it already. It's hard. It's going to take years. But I feel we have to spend more and more time not trying to change the elite Democrats. They're not changing. They're doing fine. They are doing well. They're in charge. They're controlling stuff. We're not changing them. I didn't even try to change them. Why bother? In fact, they'd be dumb to change. They're doing great. It's the average Democrat on the street that we have to be able to talk to get them to go, this is not what they said. This is not what they told me. This beautiful rhetoric of how everything's going to be awesome, it's not true. And second, they also believe that Republicans aren't just crazy people. The libertarians are just crazy people. They're just human beings who think differently. That's it. And the problem is they're getting two parts of rhetoric. One of them is these policies are so wonderful and they're helping. What do you hate mothers? What's wrong with you, Larry? Right? What do you want kids to die of? I don't know, weed overdose or something, whatever that is, right? Do you want that, Larry? What's wrong with you? And the other thing is, if you think that, you're just crazy. I think that's how we begin to fix it. It's not easy at all, but we have to do it. Thank you for the call, Keith. I appreciate it. Let me grab a couple of chats. The Libertarian lady says, my favorite hour of the week, listening to Larry Sharp drop truth bombs. I am trying. Kevin says, how do you fix inflation? At a state level, it's hard. It's a great question. But you can't really fix it. What you can do is buffer it. So let me explain that. For people who aren't sure, the most generic, simplest explanation of inflation is too much money for less goods and services. It's very generic, but I'm saying it just to make a point. I don't want to do a whole show on inflation, right? So that's generically what it is. So how can you buffer? More goods, more services. That sounds simple, but it's actually true. So if I let more people work, more people create, more people provide services, more people provide goods, I will buffer against inflation. But to be clear, Kevin, most of this is being done by the federal government. I as a governor, all you can do is buffer. You can't fix this. The national government can fix. All we can do is buffer. I hope that was clear at least. So, Dave says destroying small businesses was the goal. This is Keith's point, and I think he's right. If you have a strong middle class, then there's time for a political revolution. Without a strong middle class, there's no political revolution. That's exactly right. I think that's Keith's point. If I can extrapolate, I think that's actually his point. You end the middle class, there's no chance for a political revolution. Exactly correct. All right, guys, am I right? Am I wrong? Is Keith right? Is he wrong? Are we all just crazy? 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp on a free solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York. And by the way, also host of the Sharpway Show. Tonight, 5:30 Eastern. The one, the only Rob Astorino on the Sharpway Show. Follow the Sharpway on Facebook and YouTube. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Are you interested in indoor target shooting? Or do you know someone interested in indoor target shooting? The Rochester Rifle Club has an indoor range in Brighton, New York. Shooting is with .22 caliber rifles, air guns, and pistols with reduced loads. We have leagues and open shooting times. For more information or for a membership application, go to our website at rochesterrifleclub.org. That's rochesterrifleclub.org.
Ooh, just what I needed. A mug. This time of year, what do you give? When it's your extra concert, game, or special event tickets to VetTix, you're giving our nation's brave service members and veterans an amazing experience. Give something to those who gave. VetTix. For more information on how you can make a difference right now, or to become a VetTixer, go to vettix.org.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharp here on a free solution. 585-346-3000. WYSL, Rochester, New York. So happy to have you here for a chunk of your afternoon. I appreciate it. Let me grab some more of the chat. I have so much people who are giving me a chat. I do want to go out and talk about that a little bit. Alexander says, California does the same thing when it comes to accidents that happen off the job. There's about, I think, 6 or 7 states who do the double workers' comp. And I'm not against workers' comp at all. If it's on the job, it makes total sense. But why is a state government forcing you to do workers' comp if it's off the job? That should be an option that you provide to draw on more workers. That shouldn't be a requirement. So yes, he goes on to say, I used to work for a franchise owner, and because of the workers' comp, he wouldn't allow us to leave on our breaks. Wow, look at that. Again, hurting workers. You're supposed to be helping them. You're hurting them. Thank you for that, Alexander. I appreciate that. Yes. John says, it's the classic Jefferson's TV show, Moving On Up. And for those of you who don't know what John's talking about, I think him and I are similar in age, and we watched Jeffersons in the 70s. The Jeffersons was a show about a family that came from a poor neighborhood and moved up to a wealthy neighborhood. And they did it with the entrepreneur spirit. In the TV show, George Jefferson owns a laundromat, and he buys several laundromats until he makes enough money so he can move into a big apartment on the Upper East Side. That's the whole thing. Moving on up to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Yes, he didn't do it because government program. He did it because he was an entrepreneur. In his neighborhood, people needed laundry services, obviously. So he provided them himself until he got enough money to hire people, local jobs. He hired local people, and he got up in social status to where he moved up. Hard to happen now, right? Hard now. So yes, absolutely. I think I appreciate that, John. You are exactly correct. So, all righty. Patty says, whoa, Larry, that sounds like Bernie's push to buy local, support our neighbors' businesses. You're sounding very Bernie there. And I love that you can put your policies together and find a real solution. Mind blown. I'm going to give Bernie some props. And some of you people on the right could be mad at me, but I am. Bernie's right when it comes to buying local and supporting neighbors. That's true. I agree with him, right? We do want to create better communities. The problem is whenever you add government, you remove community. So we have to start to support small businesses and small nonprofits so we can grow community, so we can remove government. As you hear me say all the time, in my own world, I felt it. My own family, I felt it. My friends, I felt it. People fall down. We get into problems either that we made ourselves or that just fate just punched us. And sometimes you get a gut punch from fate. It happens. Sometimes you made a mistake. Sometimes a combo. But either way, we do fall down. Someone's got to help us back up. I just think community's better than government. And I think data has shown if we support community, helping people get back up, they get back up and they get back up a whole lot faster. So I do think we can do it and we should do it. So yes. All righty. Joseph says, why don't you run as a Republican? There's a slight chance you might get enough votes to win the election. Because the opposite is true. I'm going to be very clear about this, guys. And this will make some of you Republicans unhappy. I know not everyone watching is Republican. But if you are Republican, you'll be unhappy. In New York State, there is zero chance of a Republican winning a statewide election. You might go, Larry, what are your chances? Minuscule, but not zero. There is literally a higher chance of me winning than a Republican winning. I know you might go, Larry, that sounds crazy. No, it's true. How do I know this to be true? Because Republicans spent thousands of dollars throwing me off the ballot because they knew I would probably do better than them. Why else would they do that? No one else got that. Only me. Number one. Number two, this was the perfect storm for a Republican to win a statewide election in New York State this year. The perfect storm. A terrible governor, after COVID lockdowns, unpopular president, redistricting, more money raised from all the Republicans in New York State in over a decade, and they still lost. If you can't win now, you can't win. Republicans are on a decline in every way. There are more people in New York State who are registered other than registered Republicans. It's Democrats, other, Republicans. And more Republicans will be leaving this year and next year and the year after. They don't want to stay anymore. So the states now get even bluer. So that's why there is zero chance of Republican winning. This state will go gold before it will go red. The data is in. It's clear. Democrats vote for me. They don't want to vote for the Republican. And even if a Democrat votes for a Republican, they don't become a Republican. They're just a pissed off Democrat, which means they go back to being Democrat as soon as the election's over. When people who are Democrats become libertarians, they stay. They're libertarians. That's the difference. Hope that makes sense at least. So I know not everyone agrees, but I hope that makes sense. All righty, if I can grab a couple more. Ron says, keep government out of our lives. Government only causes more problems. Govern, control, meant mine. That's actually very good. I like that. Look, are we going to have government? We are. My goal is not to destroy government tomorrow. Would I love to have a world that was completely voluntary? Of course I would. Who wouldn't want that? The reality of it is we're nowhere near there. Not even close. In fact, we're going the opposite. We're going towards more. Sadly, I wish Keith was wrong, but he's not. We're moving more towards fascism. That's true. We're on that road. It's the wrong road. I want to get us on the right road. That would be way better. So I'm trying to move towards that. If we're going to have government, let's make its primary goal what the founders thought, which was to defend rights. Defending rights should be the number one goal of government. And of course, when it comes to the federal level, protecting us from invasion, which right now, not a big deal, but we still need to be prepared for it, of course. More about rights right now than ever. Our biggest enemy or enemies are internal, not external, right? Don't get me wrong, China and Russia don't love us, but whatever damage China and Russia can do is magnified by the people inside who are helping them. And if the people inside want to crush us, they'll do far more damage than China or Russia will ever do. So, yes, I get it, 100%. Valerie goes on and says, love the Jeffersons TV show. You know, because you brought that up, let me keep doing that. Let me do a couple of these if I could. If you look at shows like that, 70s, 80s, those types of things, what you find is there's a hustle in immigrant and minority families that would get people to where they want to go. In the case of, like, I hate to say Cosby, but because of Bill Cosby, but remember the show was good before we knew who he was. The goal was, in that case, they hustled in school, right? They were very educated and they had hustled in school, worked hard to become a doctor and a lawyer and stuff. And that was option number one. When it came to the Jeffersons, they had worked hard, right, to be entrepreneurship. If you remember Good Times, the one guy who did well was the football player who had busted his rump to get to become a professional football player. That's it. Each one was a tough person who went out of their way, government got out of their way, and they become successful. That's what I want us to do. Guys, thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.